Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 66 of The Tech Informist, recorded live on Wednesday, May the 6th. My name is Kevin Horvell. I'm joined by Brad Whiteside yet again. Brad, how are you doing today?
Pretty good after a cup of coffee.
Yeah, after I got you up an hour earlier than normal. Yeah, so for those of you watching live, we're actually running this a little an hour earlier just due to scheduling conflict of somewhere that I've got to be today. So I do appreciate Brad for getting up an hour earlier and joining us, and everybody else for joining us. It's love it. Love whenever.
It's hard to miss. I have lots of fun, and I hope our listeners do too.
Yeah, it's fun times, fun times. Do love it. Do love it. A lot of great things to discuss today. You know, looking through the notes, what you've got in there and things that I put in there. Just some really interesting, wide-ranging discussion on some things.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and
get into it.
Yeah. Just real quick, if everybody that hears this after the fact would like to watch live and join in the live chat on a future episode, you can do so by visiting our website, thetechinformist.com/live. And normally we record these at noon Eastern Standard Time. But, like I said, today it's a little bit different. So would love to have everybody hop in and watch live and join the discussion. And if you have any topics you would like us to discuss in the future, you can email them to us at contact@thetechinformist.com. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, we didn't touch on this Monday, and I really don't know why I didn't bring this up, because it was something that I was looking through the news Sunday. This was, of course, after the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight, where a lot of people were having trouble, watching via their cable provider, like here in St. Louis, Charter. I think even DirecTV was having some trouble of people actually getting to watch after they paid. I guess it was just like they just flooded the servers and flooded the system where people couldn't access what they were paying for. So, I know they started the fight late, and, so more and more people could buy and they could try to get things straightened out. But in the end, what a lot of people were doing was using Periscope and Meerkat, these live apps, to, broadcast the fight. So, if you were following somebody that was, sharing this out, or somebody mentioned it and you found the stream, you could just watch the fight almost like you were there at, somebody's watch party. And I do have to say, about 5 to 10 minutes left in the whole entire fight, I did, a stream popped up on my, iPhone saying somebody was streaming. I'm like, why not? Let's just see how this is actually going to play out. Now, this, of course, was one of the downfalls of, Periscope and Meerkat, is that when you're recording your stream, you still have to hold your phone vertically. Now, I don't know why they haven't incorporated, hey, horizontal, let's go landscape mode here for video recording, which is really the proper way to, take photos. And
that
video.
drives me nuts when I see people doing that.
It does.
Oh, goodness.
Like they always mentioned back with, I believe it was the iPhone 4S or that had the intent.
iPhone 4.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong. Well, that's kind of the same way it is with shooting video or taking photos with the phone straight up and down. No, you're holding it wrong.
I mean, I could kind of see doing a portrait of like something for your lock screen, but most of the time people aren't doing that. They're finding their own pictures somewhere else on the interwebs.
Right. So the thing with Periscope and Meerkat, you're not limited like you are with Instagram or Vine to 15 or 6 seconds. You can stream this thing as long as your battery will hold out or your data. Most people are going to, if you're going to be doing something on long-term stream, you're going to be on Wi-Fi, and you can, plug your phone into the wall, and, you'll have an endless stream to pretty much watch whatever. So that has obviously brought up the whole piracy discussion. That has to just
of course. See, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is kind of they're making this as an excuse. Yeah, I see that, you can just jump into the middle of, like you said, you kind of just jumped in the middle of the fight and started watching, and that's, I guess, one less person that was watching it, or potentially could be watching it, by paying for it. But I feel like the people that would jump in and maybe check it out are the people that may not have done it to begin with. So,
No, I had no plans to pay for it because,
and I would not have either. So,
and I wouldn't even have needed to watch it live. I mean, I was actually just following it on Twitter.
oh, okay.
People were just talking about it on Twitter, and I was getting a good sense of how things were going. That they were each throwing a bunch of punches, yet nobody got cut open, and nobody got knocked down, and nobody got knocked out. So, didn't sound like a very interesting fight to me. Thankfully, I didn't pay for it.
Oh, right. So, I mean, it's kind of goes along with what Twitter is. Like, it's this live streaming news update, or it can be if you gear it that way.
Mhm.
And having something like this is awesome. You can get a point of view from somebody in the crowd, and that's kind of cool, especially if they're really close.
Yeah, which actually I was reading that somebody in the audience of the fight was actually streaming via Periscope or Meerkat the fight live from their seat. I'm like, no, I can only imagine how loud and obnoxious that feed would have been.
Now, this is where you kind of got to watch what you do with it. Because if they try to make money off of it, then I would consider that being wrong. But if they're just doing it for a point of view, for fun, for, showing kind of the world where they're at and what they're doing, that's cool. I like that. I think that's cool. And, we live in the world where we like to do things like that. And I can see that this could potentially like ban phones from events like this. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, now the story that I'm going to be referencing is from TechCrunch, and it was published on the 5th, so yesterday.
Mhm.
And it's an interview with Periscope's co-founder and CEO, Kayvon Bekpour.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, not really too sure on this. So generally, here's one of the things he said. Generally, there's way more media attention than there is a problem. There's probably an order of magnitude more articles about the Game of Thrones thing than actual streams of Game of Thrones. Now, he still says, Periscope is still working directly with content owners to take down copyrighted content, and says Periscope got 66 takedown requests around the boxing match, and they were able to remove 30. The takedowns happened within minutes of the request, and the remaining streams were already over, so there was nothing to take down. So Periscope is definitely responding when they can, obviously.
Well, yeah, that's Twitter's service, so I could see why they would respond immediately, whereas Meerkat is a third-party thing, and they don't necessarily have to, per se, like respond as fast because it's not their service.
Yeah. So, I mean, the conversation went on, and, it's something that, Periscope and Meerkat need to try to figure this out. But it's going to be really tough for them to actually figure this out because.
Yeah, good luck for whoever's trying to prevent this, quote unquote, air quotes for you who are listening, piracy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it being a big deal. You'll have some people doing it, and most people are just watching the game. If you're enjoying yourself, more than likely, you're just going to be watching the game.
Yeah.
You're not going to be streaming it.
I think the big thing is for people that are going to like movie theaters and sitting there.
Yeah, and that's actually the other. I actually thought that myself, but then once again, like, I mean, most people like myself would rather see it in the full, 1080p or soon to be 4K, like best possible scenario, and I don't want to see it in like a shaky camera with like real bad lighting and
people coughing and eating and
getting up
in front of the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not for me. I mean, some people just can't wait, and that's what they do, and that's cool. That's your thing, but like those people are very few and far between, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can go, obviously, you can go online and probably download the new Avengers movie and watch in your home,
Yeah,
but
pretty
you're not going to
much.
get the full experience. And some movies have to be experienced in theaters. Well, I
If
guess they don't have to, but you're going to get a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, so for instance, if we would not have went to see Interstellar in theaters in IMAX, I don't think it would have grabbed our attention as fast as it did. But
No,
we
I'm
saw
sure
it
it
in
wouldn't have.
IMAX, and like the sound system in the IMAX is just insane. Like it feels like your eardrums are going to blow up. And watching it there was amazing. And if they re-release it like during, because they do this summer thing where sometimes they bring movies back that did really well, and
Yes.
you know, if they do that, I'm going back to see it for sure. It's that good for me. So
Right.
um,
As Sam mentioned in the chat, there will always be piracy,
yep,
and any new tech is just going to be exploited.
yep,
And
that is very true.
it's just unfortunately the nature of society trying to get things for free and all that. So moving on, I'll go ahead and let you talk about your next story here about the Xbox One.
Yeah, so this is exciting for us Xbox One people. For those of you who you know, have TV hooked up to your Xbox One, or if you're planning on hooking up the digital tuner to get the over-the-air channels like I am, we might be getting a DVR functionality. Actually, they say might, I say definitely, a DVR functionality in the Xbox One. Now, this quote is from Paul Thurrott, actually, that they quote him from. But of course, many Media Center fans are actually used to the product to record and watch TV shows via Media Center PC in the living room. Microsoft solutions for this needs will apparently be the Xbox One, though the console currently only provides live TV watching, but not recording. My sources tell me that that will change, and most probably this year to include TV recording. And I completely agree with that. Like, we have the technology, we can do this. And yeah, I thought this was really cool. This just adds another layer onto the Xbox, another reason why people might care about it. And
Yeah,
I know, you know, when the digital tuner stuff launches, you'll be able to like pause live TV and it'll record for up to a half an hour paused. So they have that in the workings, but like this is that one step further. So if they're doing the one, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do the other. I mean, is this interest you at all, Kevin?
it does, just because not necessarily there's going to be like one less box in my console, but I think it's really, I mean, these new systems come with these big hard drives, 500 gig, and
So where I see this actually being kind of big is like, let's say you're, for some reason, let's say you have like a bunch of cable boxes, right? But you only have one DVR and that's in the living room. Well, let's say you have your Xbox in your room and you also have a cable box in there connected to it. You could potentially record live TV and save it for later,
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Without the need of paying for an extra DVR or, extra hookups and things like that. It just works through the Xbox. That's cool.
Well, one of the things that I like about this potential is the fact that, sometimes people change service providers, and, we did that as well. And you've got to decide, you'll record some things that you want to keep, whether it's a special one-time thing. Like, for example, last February of 2014, they had that Beatles special on about when they came to Edward Sullivan and, the night that changed the world. They did that big old special. Well, that was recorded on our Charter DVR. Now we're on AT&T Uverse with our TV system. So now I don't have that video anymore.
Yep.
So this way, I think you would be able to keep some of these things and,
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Like if you, like you said, hop back and forth between providers because one might have a better deal that year, you could potentially, I would think, keep the recordings that you already have on your device because it's not like you're going out and selling it. Once again, if this is a piracy issue, like for those of you thinking about it's a piracy issue, no, it's not. This is your stuff. You can only use it on your Xbox because it's recorded there and it's local.
Yeah. Well, I mean, further down that article, they mentioned something about an external hard drive, possibly being able to work as well if need be.
That's good because I have one of those.
And speaking of Paul Thurrott real quick, on this last episode of Windows Weekly recorded Friday. Oh,
yes.
Our very own JJ Hammond actually made it onto Windows Weekly.
He did.
Albeit just, a simple little screenshot as, right after the Q&A, Leo was scrolling through, Microsoft has that How Old Am I website. And they were looking through different photos of Paul Thurrott, how old is he on this picture and stuff. And all of a sudden one popped up and it was a screenshot of when Paul Thurrott was on the Tech Informist, way back in an early episode. And it shows JJ there and they're like, who's this? Well, that's what Leo said, because Leo doesn't know JJ, but Paul.
Right.
So it was just funny that not only did JJ crash Tech Informist last week, but he also crashed Windows Weekly. So
yeah, kudos to you, JJ. You got both in 1 week. That's impressive.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to watch, it's it's their build recap episode. It's around the 2 hour and 11 or 12 minute. Yeah, around the 2 hour 11 or 12 minute mark. You can see
so almost towards
JJ and the Tech Informist on Windows Weekly. Like, oh, that's just too funny. So let's go back into a little bit more of the privacy thing here with the feds may no longer need a warrant to search your phone location records. A district court has ruled. Now, this is a reversal of a decision from last year. The Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit ruled today, which would have been yesterday, that the government does not need a warrant to search a wireless carrier's cell phone record. So this case focuses on Cortavius Davis, which say that 5 times fast, accused of a series of armed robberies who prosecutors track using 11,606 location records from 2010. Now, this was obtained from a carrier called Metro PCS, which is kind of like a small offshoot of Sprint. And although Davis's lawyers argued that the records were inadmissible, as they were obtained without a warrant or probable cause, and thus violated his Fourth Amendment's rights, the court disagreed. So this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I strongly disagree with that. This kind of makes me a little upset. I feel like everyone obviously has the right to a fair trial, and I feel that they could have took one extra step and still got the information just fine. And the fact that they are kind of sidestepping this now, that makes me a little uneasy, because that means if our mobile devices they're able to do that to our mobile, what say they couldn't do that to, let's say, your computer or your house at this point. I mean, they could just keep going with it. I mean, that's a little, I don't like that at all.
All right.
I have once again, I have nothing to hide. You can look at everything I got, but
yeah,
I feel strongly for something like this. This is one of the reasons why companies like Google and Microsoft are fighting the US on things like this right now, because they're big enough that they can do that, where us small people, we can't really do much about this.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
what do you think? Do you think that this should be allowed at all, or?
Well, I mean, like you said, I don't really have anything that I'm worried about hiding and keeping from, the feds. But
yeah.
in a way, it's, the whole Big Brother thing, watching you, knowing where you're at pretty much at all times. And
I mean, it's bad enough my carrier already knows where I'm at all times, but then giving the government that power, it's like, I don't like this.
Yeah, so it is definitely something, privacy advocates are not liking. They're arguing that the court has set a precedent for the government to easily obtain other records, such as web browsing behavior. The ruling affects cases in the court's jurisdiction, but a ruling is yet to be made nationwide. So,
oh, I see. Okay.
But in 2013, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit made an opposite ruling, and Davis's lawyers could appeal the decision to the Supreme Court. Now, this article is from The Verge, and we will have it in the show notes. There's a whole bunch of other little links in here to some of these other stories. But it's definitely an interesting thing to be aware of.
Yeah, speaking of courts, the EU is getting ready to nail Microsoft again for another Sky
This is getting ridiculous.
ruling. Like, yeah, so here's the thing. There is I think it's like a cable provider called Sky, right?
Yeah, let me look through the article. I'm trying to remember exactly what Sky is. Oh, it's just a broadcaster.
Yeah, so they're a broadcaster. They're called Sky, right? So Microsoft used to have OneDrive as SkyDrive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's like, no, that's too close to the word Sky, so you can't use that. You have to change your name. Well, now they're starting to say that Skype is the same thing. And I'm sorry, EU. I love you guys, but you guys are getting ridiculous with this. Come on.
Well, it's not even so much.
They're not even in the same arena.
It's the Sky company that's getting all.
Well, right, but the EU court has to make the ruling.
Yeah,
and
they're
they
going
rule
along
in
with it.
favor of this.
Yeah.
Really? Like, I could understand if they were in the same arena. If Skype was, a broadcaster, I could understand why you wouldn't be able to do that. But they don't even do the same thing. So I don't know. I feel like this is a little crazy.
Yeah.
And if this does come to fruition and they have to change, I feel like it'll be only EU.
Yeah. So
Skype is too big of a. And why have they not brought this up before? That's another thing.
Yeah,
like Skype is not it's been out for years.
Yeah, it's not new. Now, Sky has been around, according to Wikipedia. It was founded on November 2nd of 1990. So it's almost 25 years old. They are a pay TV, broadband, and phone provider.
So they're a little, 10, 11 years older than Skype?
Yeah.
So,
like you said, Skype and SkyDrive, those things were not new.
No.
They've been around for a long time.
It's just silly. Like, okay, so you're going to sit here and tell me I can't use Sky in, like, anything? Like that? No. I'm sorry, but no. This is another upsetting. This is just all upsetting news.
Yeah, it's like you can't trademark or patent or copyright whichever that falls under.
Right.
Sky. We're not using it. We're not a direct competitor. We're a completely different service.
Absolutely, and that's why it upsets me. I mean, once again, you guys are in the right.
Why didn't they go after SkyMall, the airplane catalog company?
Yeah, I'm sure there's like many others that they could have went after. I think they're doing it because they know it's Microsoft and they know that they can.
Yeah.
Get a hold of them for it.
See what kind of money they can get out of it. Yeah. It's just really.
Oh well, I guess we'll have to change the name again. But I don't know. I think Microsoft might fight them for this one, or either sidestep it or something. Just change it only in the EU market because Skype is a big brand here. Like everyone knows what Skype is. A lot of people use Skype. I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe
looking at this article, it says Sky first challenged Skype's trademark not only before the case involving SkyDrive, but also before Microsoft bought the Skype video chat service, saying Skype's branding was too similar to Sky's to be granted an EU-wide trademark. And in a new statement, Microsoft has said it's confident no confusion exists between these brands and services, and they will appeal. It has also said the decision does not require Microsoft to alter the product names in any way. Now, keep in mind, Sky may now be able to request licensing fees from Microsoft to use the Skype brand in your.
Wow.
And that is the key sentence right there. Request licensing fees.
Okay, see, that's fine. See, that's just the thing. They're wanting money out of Microsoft. So, but I would see
money
Microsoft
for 3 letters.
Right, and I would see Microsoft actually paying that, which brings us back to our original point. Like it's just ridiculous.
Right. I mean, that would be like me wanting to go after somebody that might start a website or something after this that uses the word tech in their name. No, I'm not going to. It would be silly.
Look out because Leo Laporte might be after you with This Week in Tech. So
no, there's too many other shows that have anything like that to do. Now, if somebody came out with the tech like TEK Informist, yeah, that's another story.
Well, right.
So don't do it. Don't even think about
it. Oh, goodness.
I know. It's just a crazy world we live in. Plain
It is.
and simple. All right, so I guess next on our list, yeah, we're back to me.
Drones.
Yeah, so it's been a little while since we talked about drones on the show.
It has been.
Yeah, but I seen this story yesterday and I thought, oh my God, there's no way that I would want to do this. But then I was thinking, like, if I could get it to where it wouldn't like float away or worry about losing it, it would be very interesting. There's a Kickstarter out there that would allow you to use a drone exoskeleton for your smartphone. So instead of, using a GoPro or some other, high dollar drone with a camera attached to it, you would just use this little exoskeleton kind of device and put your phone in it, and you could go around using your phone's camera to record the video and stuff. Now, there's a link to the Kickstarter in here, and this is called Phone Drone. It's a new crowdfunding product on Kickstarter, which envisions a world where it is possible. The enterprise wants to turn smartphones into drones, combining all the thrill of unmanned aviation with the existential fear of losing one's phone to a gust of wind. And at the time of this article from Popular Science, there was 36 days left, so there's probably about 34 maybe. Phone Drone is already over a quarter of its way to its $250,000 goal. I don't know if I'd be too comfortable putting in, my current daily driver.
Yeah, that would scare the bejesus out of me. Like you said, well, okay, for instance, so another Leo Laporte story. He bought a drone, and it was like one of the cheaper ones, so he didn't lose a $400 drone, but the first thing he went to take off, it went straight up in the air and he couldn't find it. It was gone. Never to be found again. So like that right there, like that's a possibility that could happen. And I'm sorry, but I really don't want to lose my phone. Yeah. I mean, I've got everything backed up, so that's not that kind of thing. It's more of it's here, it's safe now. I don't want to put it at the risk of possibly losing or breaking it. Oh, what if it crashes too? Like you could crash and break the crap out of your phone.
Yep. Now, for the $90 pledge mark, you can get the 3D plans, and you could 3D print your own. And for $199, you get the early bird ready to fly package, which is a fully functional, ready to fly version of the Phone Drone. It includes the Phone Drone airframe, required electronics and battery pack, and the app for your smartphone. And they're estimating delivery in November of 2015. And as of right now, they've raised $64,763 out of their $250,000 goal, with 36 days left on the project. So, and it's actually a Kickstarter staff pick, so very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that still scares me. Well, so why would you think about doing this? Like putting your phone on, like you said, a drone and sending it up. Don't most of them have cameras already?
Most of them do, but I think this is just a way to kind of like save you a little bit of money.
I see. Okay, well, all right, fair enough. Well, so for instance, the Nokia 635, super cheap phone, decent camera. It's not amazing, but it's decent. Well, I don't see any reason why you couldn't just buy one of those for $40 or $50 and throw that on a drone.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that's kind of neat.
Yeah, other little packages for reward levels actually include, an iPhone 4S, Galaxy S4. Those are the $499 package. For $299, you get the fully functional, ready-to-fly version, which includes the airframe, required electronics, battery pack, and the app. Plus, you get a carrying case, a charger, and an extra battery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So there you go. If you want to, send your phone up into the sky, you can do that.
Oh, no, you can't say sky.
Oh, that's right. I don't want to get, goodness.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into looks like the last story there with more Lenovo news.
Yeah, so if you guys remember, I want to say back in January, February, they found the superfish stuff that was on the Lenovo devices. That
Superfish.
was, yeah, it was a big security vulnerability. Well, guess what? Lenovo has another one, and it is from their update software. So basically, hackers could potentially get into the update software and fake security certificates and upload stuff directly to your system, like embed it directly in your system. That's not good. This is starting to worry me, Lenovo. Like, you make some great PCs, like some of the best. And this whole security thing in the 2015 starting to worry me.
Yeah, it's not their year for this.
No, I'm actually a little leery now of like recommending Lenovo to people, even though like the ThinkPad is like one of the most bought PCs. I'm starting to wonder if we should like back off from Lenovo for a little while, because let's face it, Dell is making awesome PCs now.
Yeah, they're back to making some solid
awesome
hardware.
PCs, and these are companies that weren't doing so great a few years ago, and they're making killer PCs now that rival MacBooks. Even that's something to be said. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think Lenovo? You think they're going to start really hurting from this, or do you think the average consumer is going to overlook this?
I think the average consumer is just going to overlook it, as they would overlook the fact that, ooh, I just see the update button and I'm just going to click it instead of. I mean, I know because I've serviced Lenovo laptops for the last few years at the school that I used to work at in the IT department, that, you know, I know where to go to actually download the individual, you know, update for drivers and stuff like that, instead of relying on the system update application or program, as you would want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know I wouldn't have to necessarily rely on that. Yeah, it's more convenient to just hit system update, scan for, you know, needed updates to see if you need to update something, and then install it from there. But it still pulls in a bunch of stuff that, you know, you don't really need to update, like a bunch of junkware that Lenovo likes to throw on their systems.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's part of the reason why I really like the Surface line, because it's directly from Microsoft. So you know you're not going to have that third-party update software, which I can't stand, Kevin.
Yeah, I can't.
It's even on my little tiny HP tablet that I have, and it slows the system down definitely, especially with only 2 gigs of RAM. But like, this is just another reason to give people to go check out other devices, in my opinion, especially if, you know, once again, they've actually read into it and, you know, read the news a little bit and just, you know, hear a few things. I think people might start looking at things like Dell and HP and even the Surface line, because there's some really great computers out there.
There are. I mean, it's really a good time to, you know, be in the market for a new one.
Speaking of which, the new Surface 3 launched yesterday.
Yep,
which I'm very interested in.
Yeah, a lot of unboxing videos.
I bet. I'm so jealous.
I was looking at David McCabe from Surface Geeks. You know, I didn't really like look at the video, but I looked at some of the pictures that he had took and shared on Twitter. It looks like the new, you know, the new pen stylus, whichever you want to call it, is actually a little bit slimmer and a little bit longer than
interesting.
The one that I've got here with my Pro 3.
Oh, I think I might like that. I'll say that because I haven't like played with one yet, but I'm sure they have them in store now that you can run by our local Microsoft store and check it out.
Yeah. Because I really would like to get the red one, because it would go with my
that'd be cool
type cover a lot better than this silver one with a purple button on the end.
So I feel like this is a sort of test market, and they're testing the most popular colors. And if this does well, they might expand the pen color next year, or even this year later for like Christmas, and like match all of the type covers. That would be cool.
Yeah, I kind of think that's what they, you know, should do. And maybe they'll announce that with the Pro 4. Maybe that'll be something
which might be later this month. Hey.
Yeah, could be in the next week or two.
Interesting stuff. But yeah, I as of right now, there's only the silver one with like the purple button on the top. There's the black one, the red one, and the blue one. I really like the black one because it kind of has that flat look to it.
Yeah, I like that kind of matte finish where it's not real shiny and glossy. But yeah, I'd like to get the red one just because it would match my keyboard.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of does it for our news.
And we'll move into the app and entertainment picks. I'll go ahead and let you go first.
Sure. So everybody knows what AtBat is, and us Windows Phone people were really bumming this year because we weren't getting it. Well, guess what? We're getting it now.
What is AtBat? Please explain.
AtBat, yes. AtBat is a wonderful app that you can use to listen to the ball game, watch the ball game, and by ball game, I do mean MLB, Major League Baseball. And I'm not a big sports person, but when it comes to baseball, oh boy, look out. I love me some Cardinals. We are doing great right now, too, by the way. But it is... I believe it is available for free, right, on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. I know Windows Phone for sure.
Yeah, the app itself is free, but if you really want to like get the full experience, you need to buy
the subscriptions, right?
Yeah,
so you're
$19.99.
I want to say for listening for the entire year, it's somewhere between $15 and $20, and you can get your local radio station on your phone. Anywhere you go for the entire year, that alone is worth it for me. In fact, I'm going to do that later today. But AtBat 2015, and that's available on all platforms, and you should get it.
Right, because I mean, there was a big fuss made earlier this spring, that MLB was not going to update the AtBat app for 2015, and then I think they actually pull it from the store entirely.
So they pulled it from the store. They weren't going to update it. And then I want to say yesterday or the day before, they released it and like, hey, guess what? You guys are getting the app now.
Yeah.
So that made me really happy.
With these companies that are pulling their apps from Windows Phone Store, if you're pulling it and you're actually going to like release a next version, go ahead and say that at the time you're getting ready to pull it. Say, we're going to pull it from the store, but we are going to update it and release an updated version.
Right.
Just at least, because I mean, gosh, you deal with all the negative feedback and stuff from everybody. You could say that just communicate with people. Just let people know.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, that was exciting stuff, exciting news for me, and I hope it's exciting for somebody else out there because us Windows Phone people still have to survive.
Yeah. It is a great app and it's a great service for people.
Like I said,
if you're a baseball fan and you don't have that, I'm sorry.
That sold me already. I'm gonna, as soon as we get done with the podcast, I'm gonna set up my account again and buy me a $20 subscription for the rest of the year so I can listen to baseball whenever I want.
There you go.
Because, number one, AM radio does not work very good on my car because it's one of those printed antennas on the back of the windshield or the back of the glass. So they don't pick up very well when you have tint on the back of the window. Yeah,
and you're like me. You're not really in the car long enough to where you're going to hear an entire baseball game or something.
Yeah, I just would rather, stream it when I am in there if I'm listening to a really good game, and if not, whatever.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this app, I believe, is it gives you the option to listen to either the home or the away radio broadcast. So
yes, and that's
the option.
That's big for me because I really like our guys at KMOX. They do a great job, and they're quite a riot too. So
yeah, that's putting it one way. Mike Shannon, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember working evenings. We had XM satellite hooked up where I was working at my little workstation, and I had the XM subscription solely for the baseball games.
Yeah,
and the way that they would do their audio broadcast is whoever's the home team, that is who broadcast signal you were getting. So, for example, the Cardinals were in Houston, we would have to listen to the Houston broadcasters.
Oh, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're not better or anything. It's just what you're used to.
But, actually it was really interesting to do that because you would get to hear all the different broadcast teams from around the league. And you're like, oh my God, that pairing is terrible. Or, wow, they're really good. I kind of wish they were our guys. But
Right, right.
You know, 'cause some of them, you know, when you're listening to a broadcast, every fly ball, even if it's just barely going to make it to the outfield grass, they make it sound like it's hit to the warning track.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, it's a high fly ball. This could not make it.
and the shortstop gets grabbed just behind second base. It's like,
Well, and people forget, like, when fly balls are hit, watch the players on the field. That'll give you an indication of where the ball really is.
yeah.
Because it's their job to catch it.
Yeah, you go to a baseball game and you see a fly ball, everybody
starts standing up,
yeah.
and you're just watching the center fielder just stand there making the catch.
Yeah.
And everybody sits down. It's like, well, watch the players, guys.
Yeah, it's funny. I love baseball.
Oh, I do too.
I could talk about this for hours.
Speaking of baseball, we're going to the game tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be at the game tomorrow. Cardinals Cubs, businessman special, as they like to call it, afternoon game. So looking forward to that. Thank you to AT&T. You know, Katie Negus, our AT&T rep here in St. Louis, hooking us up with some tickets. So
yes, thank you very much.
Yeah,
you know how to open our hearts.
Not only does she send us phones and other things to try out and sometimes even give away, hooking us up with some tickets. I like that. It's awesome. Yeah. Another of the nice little perks. So my app and entertainment pick, we'll go back to the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. This was a video that I seen, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, and it's hilarious. You know, I used to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out all the time on the original Nintendo.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And I even have the Wii version of Punch-Out. You know, like they remade it for the.
I think it was just called Punch-Out, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was a really, really good game. But somebody, you know, a very creative individual, was able to take the original Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and they did a little parody with, you know, Floyd Mayweather playing the role of Mike Tyson and Manny Pacquiao playing the role of Little Mac. And it's just a video that I'm going to link to it. If you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. It's very funny, and, you know, pay attention to the little details. It's funny. I think you'll get a big laugh out of it.
And that's, you know, I love when people do stuff like this.
Yeah.
Thank you, interwebs, for being funny.
Yeah, it's
brightening our day.
It's another of the great things about the internet.
Yes, let us not all focus on negative all the time. Let's look at the positive things like this, or kitties. Yeah. Yeah. Funny little cat videos. You know, it doesn't have to all be serious. We can always have some fun. Absolutely. Yeah, so that pretty much does it for me. I'm pretty good. So yep, a little shorter episode just so we can all get going on our way. And I know you have some things that you need to get done. And oh yeah, so gotta get on the road, gotta drive. Yeah. Although Friday we will be back at our normal time. So for those of you listening after, if you listen before Friday, we'll be back at our normal. Friday's episode will be back at noon Eastern Standard Time, right here at thetechinformist.com/live. All right. So that pretty much does it for this episode. Again, any comments, feedback, suggestions, anything. Even if it's bad, let us know. Yeah, if it's bad, God, for crying out loud. We take criticism. We take criticism to heart. Because we want this to improve. Yeah, we want this to be a show for you. And, you know, if for some reason you don't like something, let us know. Contact at thetechinformist.com, or let us know via Twitter. That's fine, too. I'm not going to ignore or block or anything like that. I mean, unless you start getting kind of ridiculous then. Speaking of Twitter, where can people find you? Oh, they can find me on Twitter at Kevin Harvell with 2 L's, by the way. Yes, good call. Right, and you can find me at holy_shadows on Twitter as well. All right. So, and, you know, for some reason you like Facebook, you can find us there. You can find us on Google+. We don't really post a lot of things on Instagram, but we're there as well. If you'd like us to start posting things on Instagram, let us know. Yes. We've always got our camera phones with us. So, the joys of 2015. Yeah, definitely. And also something that I was kind of thinking about doing, kind of starting up. Would you like us to do like a weekly poll, like a, you know, use the straw poll, polly with straw, whatever that. Maybe we should put up a poll for a poll. Maybe we should put up a poll and see if people want a poll. We'll poll people for a poll. All right. So that pretty much does it. I'm Kevin. That's Brad. And until next time, consider yourself informed. We're out. Take care, guys.